I'm now going to work the function review quiz for you. And before I get started, I want to make really clear how you're going to earn your points back for making corrections. For every single problem that you miss, what's going to happen on this video, I am going to tell you up front before I start working the problem what the correct answer is. If you got the answer right, you can just fast forward through that problem and you don't have to work it. If, however, you do miss it, then you obviously need to watch me work that part of the video. You guys all have a correction sheet that should look a little something like this, where you have the problem number. Then there's another blank where you say correct answer. And in capital letters, it says with work shown. So that means you need to copy down the work that I do. And then the third column is the most important one. This is actually how you're going to get your points back. It says in capital letters, specific reason why your answer is not correct. To show you what I mean by that, to make sure that we have no issues, I'm going to actually work the first couple for you. And I don't want you to fast forward through the video, even if you got it right. I still want you to go ahead and do number one, so you've got a really good example of exactly what I expect for you to get your points back. So number one says which function is linear, and it gives us some choices to figure out which one is linear. Well, if we go through these, and I'm going to give a really simplified version of why some of the ones that we have are not linear. And actually, I'm just going to go through and I'm going to narrow down right here to answer B. So remember, it says which function is linear. That means if you were to graph it, it would form a straight line. Out of all four of these equations, B is the only one that's in what we call slope-intercept form. Now, in case we need to remember what that means, remember that the two pieces of the equation actually tell us if we were going to graph a line, what the slope of the line and what the y-intercept is. Remember, y-intercept tells us where the graph hits the y-axis. So this is your x-axis, this is your y-axis, and the number in front of the x tells you what the slope is. Hopefully we remember that if there is no number in front of the x, the slope is actually a 1, which is understood. The word understood just means that we know it's there, we just don't write it there. So the slope, aka, remember another word for slope, is rate of change. So if the slope is 1, that means that we're going to use that 1 to determine how much our graph moves up or down and whether it moves left or right. Now, in order to do that, we actually need two numbers. I only have one with that 1, so I'm going to come back to that in a second. Instead, now I'm going to focus on the second number right here. So because this is in slope-intercept form, first number, again, the one in front of the x is the slope. The second number chilling out there is your y-intercept. That tells you where your graph hits your y-axis. So if I were going to graph this function, it would be, I would have my starting point, if I wanted to graph it, would be right here for y equals -8. So it would be right there on my y-axis. So remember, that second number tells you -8 is where the graph hits the y-axis. So because I've got, and I didn't space these out very well, so let me do a better job about that before I continue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Great. So right there is my -8. So that's going to be 1 point on my graph. Now, let's go back to the slope. Because remember, I need to know what my change in y is over my change in x. So first of all, whether I'm going up or down, that's what we mean by change in y. This is a positive slope, which means I'm going to go up in some way, and then I'm going to go over. Well, I only have one number, which is a 1. To find rate of change, or slope, I need two numbers, which is 1 over 1. So, and think about it, 1 over 1 means the same thing as a 1. So that means to graph, I'll go up 1 and then over 1, up 1 and over 1, up 1 and over 1. I'm going to go ahead and connect my dots. So that is how you graph something that's in slope-intercept form. It always looks the same. It looks like y equals, you're going to have some kind of number in front of your x. If you don't have a number in front of your x, like our case here, you automatically assume that it's a 1. Then you're going to have another number hanging out here to the side, which is your y-intercept. Out of all of our options, this is the only equation that is in slope-intercept form. This one is dividing by x. We've talked before about how when you divide by x, that is not going to be a linear function because x can't be 0 because you can't do 1 divided by 0, which means there'd be a hole right here where x equals 0. So that one's not linear. Square roots, we're going to actually be talking about very soon, but so I'm just going to let you know for now, square roots are not a function. Squared, whenever you have that squared, remember that it's going to end up kind of being sort of like a V shape, because no matter what, a negative times a negative will be a positive, or a positive times a positive will be a positive. So your graph is going to end up doing kind of like a little U shape, which is not linear also. But really, the main reason that you should know automatically that B is the correct choice is because this is the only one that is in slope-intercept form, because you've got y equals an x, and technically there is a number in front of the x because there's really a 1. So a slope in front of your x with a number or just a y-intercept hanging out there to the side. So if you missed this problem, and remember, you should be copying down this correct work even if you got this right. You're using this one as an example. If you didn't, go back and pause the video, restart it when you're ready. But just making sure, so as long as you did. Oh. Okay, so this is what I want on your correction sheet. So I'm going to get rid of all this. Remember, if you didn't copy all this down, you can always go back and restart the video. Remember, the third column says specific answer, why your answer is not correct. So let's say that you picked A. Okay, so let's say this is your answer. So A is obviously not the right answer. So when it says specific answer, why your answer is not correct, you could say B is in slope intercept. And I'm okay with you not writing out the whole word slope intercept. So B is in slope intercept form, which is always linear. Okay, slope intercept form, if you graph it, it's always going to give you a straight line. So A can't be the correct answer. I know it seems like I'm asking for a lot, but remember, I've talked to you in class about how many points you're going to get back for this. So yeah, you're going to do a little bit of work in order to get these points back. So this is an example of what I expect over here out to the side. I want a specific reason. Don't just say, I didn't understand. Don't say, I looked at it wrong, IDK, any of that stuff that sometimes we like to write. If you need a specific reason why it's not correct. B is in slope intercept form, which is always linear, so A can't be the correct answer. Okay, I'm just assuming that's what you picked, if you picked that for A. Number 2, I'm also going to work with you just to give you another example. So I'm not going to tell you the answer up front right away. I am going to work it for you. So it says, which statement describes the relationship between X and Y? Okay, of course, one of the easiest things to do is just use process of elimination. We've talked about that. We did our ACT Explorer unit. So let's take a look and see, does option A work? So it says Y equals 2.5x. When that 2.5 is sitting next to the variable, remember that that means to multiply. So what this is saying is if you take 2.5 and multiply it by x, it'll give you y. Well, to test to see if that's the correct answer, put the points in and see if they work. Just plug them in. So I should be able to put 0 in for x, and it should give me 1 for y. Well, 2.5 times 0 is 0. 1 is not equal to 0, so we know that A is not the correct answer. So let's try option B. Y equals twice x. So twice x means 2 times x plus 1. Whenever you're doing twice something, you're multiplying it by 2. So that means that I should be able to take this point and put it in and see if it works. So I'm going to do 2, instead of 2 times x, I'm going to do 2 times 0 plus 1. And I should get 1 instead of y. So 2 times 0 is 0. 0 plus 1, yep, it equals 1. So now remember, just because it worked for those 2 points doesn't necessarily mean that it works for all of the points. So I probably want to try another one. So I'm going to try it again. Y equals 2x plus 1. So if I put 0 in for x, I'm sorry, not 0. Now I need to try the second point, sorry. So I need to put 5 in for x and see if it works. So instead of 2 times x, now I'm going to do 2 times 5 and see if it gives me the 11 I'm looking for. So 2 times 5 is 10. 10 plus 1 is 11. So I've got a pretty good idea. This is probably the right one, but I'm going to just triple check. I'm going to try this point over here. I'm kind of running out of room. So y equals 2x plus 1. So now I'm going to put negative 2 in for x. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4 plus 1. Y is negative 3. Negative 4 plus 1 is, in fact, a negative 3. So I know that B is the correct answer because I was able to plug it in there I was able to plug in all 3 values for x into that equation. Y equals 2x plus 1, and they always balanced out. Another way I could kind of double, triple check just to make sure is that, remember, if this is right, y equals 2x. That means that 2 would be my rate of change for the table. So I'm going to go here and find my rate of change really fast. So my y's are going up by, let's see, 1 to 10, or 1 to 11, I'm sorry, is going up by 10. 11 to negative 3 is going down, actually, negative 14. From 0 to 5, it's going up by 5. From 5 to negative 2, it's going down 7, so that's a negative 7. Well, 10 over 5, because remember your change is in y over your change in x, simplifies to a 2. And then a negative 14 over a negative 7 simplifies to a 2. So that helps back up the fact that this is, in fact, my right answer. Because remember, the number in front of the x is your rate of change, which we found from the table. So that's another reason that I'm awfully positive I got the right answer. So the right answer, again, should be B. Let's say you didn't get B. Let's say you picked D. Or even let's say you picked C. So let's say your answer was C. Okay, for a specific answer, why your answer wasn't right, you actually have a couple of different options. One of them is you could say why your answer is wrong. Now, I don't expect you to do both of the things I'm about to tell you, but you got to do at least one of them. So it says you can tell me why your answer is wrong. Okay, y is greater than x. So it's saying what is the relationship? Y is greater than x. So you could say, so in this case, y, now here, y is bigger than x. And here, oops, not sure, sorry, my screen froze for a second. Y is greater than x because 1 is greater than 0. 11 is greater than 5. But, oh, here's the problem. Negative 3 is not greater than negative 2. When you're dealing with negatives, okay, negative 2 is actually less negative than negative 3. So that's why C would not be the right answer. So you could say y is not greater than x because negative 3 is not greater than negative 2. So that could be one way that you could say that your answer is not correct. Let's say that you picked A instead. Another thing you could say is you could say, so this is the one you picked, y equals 2.5x. You could say, because remember how we plugged in 0 for x and got 2.5 times 0, which is 0, which is not the same thing as 1. You could say A is not correct because 2.5 times 0 is not equal to 1. So see what I mean about how we need a specific example? And don't forget about the really good grade I'm giving you for this. You have to make sure for each problem that you give a specific reason why your answer is not correct. So now that I've done the first two and shown you an example of what it is I expect, another thing you could do for number 2 is instead of saying why your answer is wrong, almost forgot about this, you can also say why the correct answer is right. Okay, so y equals twice x plus 1. So correct answer, so this is another thing you could write. Correct answer is y equals 2x plus 1 because for each set of x and y values, or you could say ordered pairs, something like that, 2 times x plus 1 always equals y. So you could say for each set of x and y values, 2 times x plus 1 always equals y. So you can go back and say why your answer was wrong, or you can say why the correct answer is what it is. So you don't have to do both, but you got to make sure that you do one. The whole point of this activity is that I know that you understand what you did wrong. So from here on out, for the other ones, I'm going to actually tell you what the correct answer is. Then, if you got it right, you don't have to go ahead and watch it. You can just fast forward through it. You don't have to do a correction sheet. At this point, though, you should have problems 1 and 2 on your correction sheet. That's how I know that you're actually watching the video, you're doing what I asked you to do. If not, you need to go back, rewatch it before you continue. So number 3, the answer should have been B. So if you got that correct, you can just move on. I'm going to go ahead and work it for those of you guys that did not get it right. It says an online movie rental service offers a discount. Okay, a discount is when you actually take away cost. It's usually in the form of subtraction to first-time users. A lot of services do that. The first time you use it, they charge you a little bit less just to get you to try it out. The equation below can be used to determine C, the charge for a first-time user to rent M number of movies. So this tells you how many movies that you rent. Okay, so I'm going to be able, and it says it can be represented by this equation. So the fact that the discount represents taking away cost, you're going to be able to look at this equation and see, because this is minus 2, this is your discount. So apparently, they're going to charge you the number of movies times the normal price, but then they're going to take away $2 from the price to encourage you to come the first time. So it says, come into the movie rental place. So it says, which best describes the slope in the equation? Remember, the slope equals rate of change. Rate of change, as we saw in question number 1, is this number right in here in front of the variable. So it's got to be 4. So they're asking what the 4 means. So right here, these two answers, C and D, where it says the user receives a $2 discount per movie, they're not asking about the 2. So the $2 discount is not what they're asking about. They're asking which best describes the slope in the equation. The slope, of course, is that number in front of the m. So C, the user receives a $2 discount per movie. First of all, that's not true. They only take away $2, period. They don't take away $2 for every movie that you rent. Otherwise, this would be like 2 times the number of movies. So it's just a flat $2. The service charge is $2 per movie? No, because it's 4 times the number of movies. On top of the fact that they're asking about the slope, which again is that number in front of the m. So it's got nothing to do with 2. The user receives a $4 discount per movie. Okay, remember a discount means to take away or to subtract, which means the discount is that minus 2 that is in the equation, not the 4 in front of the m. So therefore, the answer has to be B. The service charge is $4 per movie. You can figure that out. Also, because it's 4 times your number of movies, so that indicates that they charge you $4 per movie. So remember, you need to, if pause the video now, give a specific answer why your answer is not right. Make sure that if you need to rewatch this part, go ahead and rewatch it. But I gave you some really good clues about some things that you could write, but you need to actually have, in order to get your points filled out, you have to have a specific answer in the 3rd column of that correction sheet. Number 4, what is the rule for the function shown in the table? Number 4, the correct answer is A. So if you got A, you can just fast forward. If you didn't get A, please follow along. So I'm just going to go through the process of elimination, and I'm going to see which one of these is right. So I'm going to try out the first one. Remember, a rule is just an equation that represents the situation. So it's basically exactly what we just did here, except that instead of giving us words to represent the relationship, now it's giving us algebra. So y equals x plus 2. So I'm just going to try it out, see if it works. So I'm going to take 6, or negative 6, and put it in for x, and take negative 4 and put it in for y. So negative 6 plus 2 is negative 4. So I got that right, so that one works. Let's see if it works, because it's got to work for all of them. So y equals x plus 2. I'm going to put 0 in for x. I'm going to put 2 in for y. 0 plus 2 is 2. So 2 is equal to 2. Last but not least, I'm going to try it out. X is 2. It says that y should be 4. 2 plus 2 is 4. So we know that A is the correct answer. If I were to do the same thing with B, C, and D, I would see that if I put these values in for x and y, it would not work. Remember that another thing I could do is double check using my rate of change. That would at least help me narrow it down. In this one, because there's no number in front of the x, that means the rate of change is a 1. From negative 4 up to a positive 2 is a change of 6. From negative 6 to 0, that is a change of 6. So my change in y over my change in x, 6 over 6 does simplify to a 1. So that does help back up that my answer A is probably correct. Number 5, what is the rule for the set of ordered pairs? The answer you should have gotten is B. If you got it right, just go ahead and fast forward. If you didn't, let's take a look at it. So what might be easier for you is to rewrite these ordered pairs as a table. It's really asking exactly the same thing that this question asked. It's just that it's not a table, it's a set of ordered pairs. So remember that your first number is x, your second number is y. So if I were to rewrite these in a table, I would go 4, 16, negative 1, negative 4, and then 8, 32. So I'm going to go ahead and try out my answers and see if they work. So I'm going to try out A, which is y equals 4 plus x. So that means that I should be able to take this ordered pair, put 4 in for x, so 4 plus 4, and I should get my y value out, which is 16. Well, 4 plus 4 is 8, not 16. So I know that A Can't be the right answer. So now I'm going to try B. Y equals 4x. Remember the 4 sitting next to the x is multiplication. So instead of 4 times x, I'm going to put in this 4. And hopefully I will get my y value out. 4 times 4 is 16. So that's one reason that I know that B is the correct answer. I'll do the other two just to make sure. So y equals 4x. Well, if x is negative 1, 4 times negative 1 should give me negative 4. 4 times negative 1 is a negative 4. So negative 4 is equal to negative 4. Last but not least, I should be able to take y equals 4x and have it balance out. So 4 times 8 is 32. 32 is equal to 32. So it balanced out, so that's another reason I know that B is the correct answer. Number 6, which set of ordered pairs are on the graph? So you should have gotten, for number 6, you should have gotten the answer C. So if you did, just fast forward. If you didn't, let's figure out what we did wrong. So the really only way to do this is just by process of elimination. So look at option A. So negative 1, negative 4. Let's see if that point lies on the graph. So if I go over negative 1 and then down, remember this, so this says I'm going to the left because it's negative. That says I'm going down 4 because it's a negative. So I'm going to go to the left 1 and then down 1, 2, 3, 4. So negative 1, negative 4 is right here. The line is right there. So because that point is not on the graph, I know that that's not the right answer. So let's try option B. See what I get. 1, negative 4. So that means I go over to, this time it's a positive 1, so I go over to the right 1. And then I go down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, which is right there. That point is also not on that line. So if one point isn't there, that means I can rule out the whole answer. Let's look at C, negative 1, 4. So over to the left 1, because it's a negative 1, and then up 1, 2, 3. Oh, there we go. That point is on the line. Let's check 0, 3. So I don't go left or right because the first number is 0, but I do go up 1, 2, 3. Yep, that one falls on the line. 4, negative 1, go over 1, 2, 3, 4, and then up, and then down, negative 1. Yep, that line is, or that point falls on the line too. So I know the answer C is correct. Number 7, you should have gotten B for your correct answer. If you did not get that right, go ahead and watch what I'm doing. If not, just fast forward. It says, which of these ordered pairs does not fit the rule? So does not is key. First of all, a lot of us don't like to read the question. Does not fit the rule. The value of y is equal to 5 more than twice the square of x. Ooh, yikes. That one's kind of a mouthful, isn't it? Okay, so this is what they're saying. Okay, y is equal to, so y is equal to 5 more than, because you're adding 5 to something. Or another way to think about it is you're going to have something here, plus 5, twice the square of x. When you square something, that's multiplying it to the second power. So the square of x, twice the square of x, means you're multiplying it by 2. So let me go back and re-explain where I got this from. First of all, y is equal to 5 more than is where I got this plus 5. Whatever crap I've got here in front, I'm going to add 5 to it. Twice means 2 times something. And then the square of x means I'm going to square something. So basically that means if I square a number, which remember that means x times itself, so I'm going to square the number because exponents in order of operations, exponent comes first. Then I'm going to multiply by 2. Then I'm going to add 5, and that should give me y. So yeah, that was a little complicated. That's okay. You are next. So again, y equals is right here. 5 more than is where I got my plus 5. The square of x right here, and twice the square of x is 2 times. So I'm going to plug this in here and see whether or not my first value works. So I'm going to put in 5 for x. Oh, not an x for x, no. So I'm going to put in 5 for x. And then once I do all this other stuff, I should get a 55 out for y, if that's the one that works. So 5 times 5, of course, is 25. So now I'm going to do the times 2. 2 times 25 is 50. 50 plus 5, does give me 55. 50 plus 5 does give me 55. So some of us are going to be like, oh, A, that's the answer. No, 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 no. As it says, which one does not fit the rule? So hopefully we read those directions. So we're not going to pick A, because we're looking for one that does not fit. So now let me try. So it's not A. So now let's try B. So I'm going to put -2 in for x, and I'm going to square it. -2 times -2 is a positive 4, because a negative times a negative is a positive. Now I'm going to do 2 times 4, because that's my next step, which is 8. 8 plus 5 is 13. This says that y should be a -3. So since 13 does not equal -3, that means that B is the ordered pair that does not fit this rule. So B should have been the correct answer.